Hello students, welcome to MGC Learning Standard 12th Subject English topic Direct Indirect Speech Part 2. Students, have you remember all the present becomes past and past become past perfect? We'll start with an example. Polly said, I am writing a book on dieting. Now, in this case students is very important change of tense. This is where we are focusing on. So, said the verb outside is past tense and therefore the tense inside will change. So Polly said that she was writing. So I am writing has become was writing a book on dieting. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Next, Kevin said to Aryan, I have been trying to dance since years. If you look at the verb outside is past, once again check inside is it have a proverb or universal truth? Because if it is have a proverb or universal truth, then the tense will not change. But I have been trying to dance since years is not a habit or a proverb or a universal truth, and therefore the tense inside will change. So, Kevin said to become told Aryan that he had been trying to dance since years. So, we have seen here that have been trying to dance will become had been trying to dance. So, the have becomes had, the present becomes past, and once more students said to wherever you have said to, it will change to told. Next one, Sam said, I spoke to the teacher yesterday. Look at the verb highlighted, teacher yesterday. Have you spoke? Why students? Where of course, first and foremost, you have to change the tense. Why? Because the verb outside is past and inside we do not have the proverb universal truth. So, we will change the tense. Look at the verb inside spoke. It is simple past. It will change to past perfect. So Sam said that he had spoken to the teacher the previous day. So yesterday will become previous day. We'll look at those words later. Next one, the teacher said a stitch in time saves 9. Students, here look at the reported speech. It is a proverb. Though the verb outside is in the past tense, you will not change the tense of the reported speech because it is a proverb. So, the tense will remain the same. Therefore, the answer would be the teacher said that a stitch in time saves 9. The saves will remain saves. The next, she said, they may have read as you like it. Now, in this case, look at the focus on the verb that is may. That's your modal auxiliary. And what have we learned that when we change the tense of the reported speech, even the modal auxiliaries will change. So, may will become might. Here, she said that they might have read as you like it. Let's take other one. She says, I will put my best efforts to win. Now, in this sentence, students, says is in a present tense, and when it is a present tense, the verb outside is a present tense. When the reporting verb is a present tense, the tense inside does not change. So I'll meaning I will remain as will. She says that she will put her best efforts to win. Now we have the old man said every action has an equal opposite reaction. So here if you look at this, it is a universal truth. So no change of tense inside the inverted comma. So here we say the old man said that every action had no students. We don't change the tense. So it becomes has. that remains as it is. So the old man said that every action has equal and opposite reaction. Now, the next change, students, is a change in pronoun, and we can follow this rule 1, 2, 3 SON. A very simple rule. The change in pronoun takes place in the reported speech. Now, what do we mean by 1, 2, 3 SON? Let's understand. 1 meaning the first person pronoun, that is I and we. S means the subject speaker. 2 is the second person pronoun, you, and O stands for a object or a listener. 3 is the third person pronoun, that is he or she or it, and N stands for no change. Now, the first person, third person, second person, all these pronouns will be inside the inverted commas or the quotation mark or in the reported speech, whereas subject and object will be outside the quotation mark, that is outside the reported speech. So the first person inside relates to the subject, the pronoun. The first person pronoun will change according to the subject, the second person pronoun will change according to the object, and in the third person pronoun will not change at all. Let's understand with an example. He said to her, I don't know where they have seen you. Now students, of course we have to change the tense. So let's look at quickly the verb outside said is a past tense. So the verb inside will change. That they have seen will become had seen. Don't know will become didn't know. But we are going to focus on change of pronouns. So let's look at that. We said the first person inside, that is I. Inside will relate to the subject. So how will it change? Now let's follow this 1, 2, 3 SON. So he told her that. Now said to, students, remember we already said that said to will become told. I is first person relating to the subject, that is he. So the I will actually becomes he. You is a second person pronoun. It relates to the object, that is her. Therefore the you will becomes third person, her, because it relates to the object, the listener, and we have the third person, they have. There will be no change because the third person there is a no change. So this is how we follow 1, 2, 3 SON. And the answer would be, he told her that he didn't know where they had seen her. Let's take some more sentence. The teacher said to me, you shall not enter the class. Now in this sentence we have the second person here, you, and we follow the same rule 1, 2, 3 SON. We have the second person you which relates to the object, that is me, and therefore in the answer we will have the me, of course, change into the I, because you can't say me should not, it is I should not. But here the you is the object, so the second person relates to the object. The answer would be, my teacher told me that I should not enter the class. Next, the boy said, I saw you at the party last night. Now here in this sentence, the question, the reported speech has the first person and the second person. So of course we have to follow 1, 2, 3 SON. The first person, that is I, will relate to the subject boy, and therefore the pronoun will change to he. But the second person you there is no object. It relates to object, but there is no object. Students, so what's happened? So there will be no change. Why? Because if the boy is saying something and a listener is not mentioned, it's understood, students, that there is either the boy or a girl listening to him, or it could be plural also. So when you say the boy said, then the listener, the object could be he, could be she, or could be they. So here, because there is no object, you could be anything and you can write any of the third person. So here the you will become him or her. So the boy said he had him or her both right at the party. The previous night, last night becomes the previous night. And the students remember simple past becomes the past perfect. So please remember all the changes and why you are changing from direct to indirect. And now we shall go on to a table which will show the change of words, which words mostly words that are related to the time and distance. And of course we shall see, of course we will shall see the some other related words. How do we certain words changes from direct to indirect? Of course, where are these words in the reported speech? So now shall become then, this becomes that, ago will becomes before, today, that day, yesterday will become the previous day, here will become there, these, those, come, go. For example, he said, come here. He told her to go there. Next, tomorrow will become the next day. Last night shall become the previous night. Let's take some more. Said sorry. Students, when the direct speech said sorry, will not write he said that sorry. We can simply say he apologized. So, said sorry will become apologized. Said thank you will become thanked. Said goodbye will become bade goodbye because it is the past tense of it. And said hello will become greeted. Said good morning will become wished a good morning. Said yes could be agreed or replied in affirmative. And so no, said no, you can say disagreed or replied in the negative. That last change we'll going to see when we are going to change a sentence from direct to indirect is a use of connective and a suitable reporting verb. Now, when we say suitable reporting verb and a connective, it depends on the type of sentence inside the inverted commas or the quotation mark that is in the reported speech. Now, what do we mean by the type of sentence? Do you remember, students? We have four type of sentences, that is affirmative, exclamatory, interrogative and imperative. So we are going to use a different connective and a reporting verb for each of these different types of sentences just to make us sound a little better, meaning if it is a question rather than just said if you were asked, it sounds better. When it's exclamation, you say he exclaimed inside of just saying said so. This is what we are going to look at, the use of a suitable reporting verb and a connective. Connective, students, remember the commas changing into a words. So let's start. The first type of sentence is a assertive sentence, and we know that the assertive sentence structure is subject, S will come first and then the verb and then the rest of the sentence ending with a full stop. And an assertive sentence is just us starting something, therefore the reporting verb will remain the said. If it is said to, it will become told, and if it is says, it will remain says as it is, because it is just a statement you are making. And then what is a connective? the comma and the connective will change into that. Let's take an example. He said, I like grammar now. Students, of course, we are going to also follow all the remaining rules, the change of tense, the change of pronoun, the change of in certain words. And of course, we will remove the inverted commas, and now we are going to see how to use a connective and the reporting verb according to reported speech. So here, I like grammar. Now it is a statement that is made. So he said will remain as it is, the comma. Look at the table sentence, students. The comma will become a that, and of course there will be change of pronoun and the tense, and the last word now will become then. So what is the answer, students? He said that he liked grammar then. Now here, students, if you look at this, said has remained said because it is an assertive sentence. The comma has changed into that. So it is an assertive. Therefore, connective is going to be that. I shall change into why. I shall change into he. Why? The first person relates to the speaker or the subject, which is he. Over here, like will become liked. That is the tense will become change, and now shall become then. So when the sentence is assertive, we say said, and then the connective becomes that. So that we are going to focus here. Next, the next type of sentence would be the exclamatory sentence. Here, students, we know it's a strong emotions. So when we change into a direct, first thing we have to do is it a change to a statement in the inverted commas or the reported speech from exclamatory to assertive, because in indirect speech we always ends the sentence with a full stop. Here, as in exclamatory sentence ends with an exclamation mark. So we change the exclamatory sentence to an assertive sentence. Now, structure of an exclamatory sentence, students, we know starts with what or how. Of course, what is followed by article and then an adjective, but the subject and verb comes last, and then the exclamatory mark. Similarly, if it's a how structure, then the how structure plus adjective, then the subject and the verb and the exclamatory mark. Now, what is a reporting verb? It's going to be exclaimed. Instead of saying said, you will say exclaimed, and connective comma changes to that. And finally, you see there the exclamatory mark changes to a full stop, meaning an exclamatory sentence will change to an assertive sentence. So let's take a look at example. She said how fantastic Amir is. Now here, students, how fantastic Amir is ends with an exclamatory mark. It's an exclamatory sentence first changed to the assertive. So what will it become? It will start with the subject. As you know, assertive sentence start with the subject. Amir is indeed fantastic would be a assertive form. But now there are some more changes that take place. So here said will become exclaimed. The comma changes into that. Now the structure of the sentence has changed in exclamatory. The subject and the verb in the ends, but in the assertive, subject comes first. Now look at the change of the tense is has become was. Yes, because the tense will change as the verb outside is past tense, and the exclamatory mark changes into full stop. So she exclaimed that Amir was indeed fantastic, and with a full stop. Next one, changing an imperative. sentence from direct to indirect. Now students, what is an imperative sentence? We'll already learn that before. It is an ordered, command, request or a suggestion. That to make it simple, it starts with a verb and the subject you is hidden. Of course, the object may be there or may not be there. The main thing is that the sentence starts with the verb and the subject is you, but it's hidden, not visible. Now, students, the reporting verb to this statement, if it is an order, it will be ordered. It is a request, it will be requested. Next is the connective, that is a comma will change into to plus verb that is there in the sentence. Which verb you can see stuck on your structure? It is a starts with a structure. Take the same verb to it. If it is an affirmative sentence, if it is a negative, it will become not. To plus verb. Let's see an example. The teacher said to the students, open your books. Now here, this is a affirmative. The verb is open, so the teacher ordered the students or requested to the students or told to the students. You can simply write the told the students and we will say to open their books. So said has become ordered. The open here, the comma changing to and then you add the same verb open your books becomes their books. So that's how we change the imperative sentence. Now finally one that is a interrogative sentence, which is a question. Now in this case the structure, it's always verb, then the subject. In case if there is an auxiliary verbs, there will be an auxiliary verb, the subject and the main verb of after that, so that there is a structure of a interrogative. But students, remember, indirect speech ends with a full stop. That means the question mark has to go, and that lonely go when you change from a interrogative to assertive. So when we change to interrogative to direct to indirect, from direct to indirect, we shall change the interrogative sentence to assertive sentence, and the reporting verb will be asked, simply asked, because it's a question mark, and then the comma, then connective will be changed into two ways. If it is a WH question starting with a WH verb, what, which, when, where, how, then we will use the same WH as a connective. That means instead of comma, we shall use the same WH. But if it is a yes no question, that is do you, have you, will you, can you, could you, then we shall start with if or whether. Instead of comma, you were going to write if or whether. And finally, students, the question mark changes to a full stop, which means a interrogative sentence changes into a assertive sentence. So let's take an example. He said to her, are you okay? Now in this case, students, look at the reported speech. It is a question and it is a starting with are, which is yes no question. So what is your option here? You see, if it is a yes no question, then either use if or whether instead of the comma. So now he said will become asked because the reporting verb will change to asked. It is a question, and instead of to her, it will become asked to her. The comma changes to if. You can also write to whether and are you okay. Look at the are changing to was because the tense will change and the you will change to she because object is her. So remember students, the rule 1 2 3 SON. The second person changes to according to the object, to the listener, and in this case it is her. So the are you has now become she was. That means there is a swapping that has happened. The auxiliary in the subject has swapped when it is bowed down to assertive because interrogative verb and then the subject, but in the assertive is a subject then the verb, so the swapping has taken place at the same time. The pronoun has changed, the tense has changed, and the question mark becomes a full stop. Let's take one more sentence. She said to him, "Why are you asking?" Now, said to will become asked. Him, not to him, but asked him. Then, if you look at the comma, it is gonna but in a place of comma. We have why. Why we have why? Because it's a WH question. When it is a WH question, it will remain the same. As a connective, there again the are you will swap, the are will becomes was and the you will becomes he, and finally the question mark will becomes a full stop. So students, this is what we have seen. When we change from direct to indirect, we also make a change in the connective, that is a comma will change into a word according to a different types of sentences, and will also change the reporting verb according to the types of sentences to express the correct mood of the speaker. That is, if it is a question, it will be asked. If it is an exclamatory sentence, it will be exclaimed. If it is a just assertive sentence, it will be said. And if it is imperative sentence, then it will be ordered or commanded or requested according to the context. So that's how we change the connective and the reporting verb. And not to forget change of tense, the change of pronouns, the change of certain words, and the removing of inverted commas. And finally the connective and reporting verb. So these are your 5 changes that happened from direct to indirect speech. Thank you.